What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Playmates Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition Megazord. So we have all 5 parts of the Megazord here. It did take me a while to kind of get, I think I was waiting on the Pterodactyl and the Mastodon, I think were the 2 that were kind of holding me up because I was able to find the first 3 pretty easily, but the other 2 I wasn't able to find in stores and everything and had to resort to going online to find them. But we get all 5 pieces of the Megazord here. So right in front we get the Sabretooth, Pterodactyl, and Triceratops. All 3 look pretty cool here. The nice big Zord, so this is going to be a pretty tall Zord. I believe each piece was, I want to say maybe $20, $25. I did not keep track at all of what I paid for these, so it could have been more. And then I don't know if the Tyrannosaurus and Mastodon were more expensive, because I'll move these here and you'll see those, and the boxes are much bigger and everything for those 2 compared to these 3, so I assume they'd be more expensive, but not exactly sure. But overall, I am excited to look at this just to see what Playmates does with the Power Rangers line. One thing I do like about this though is that we do get the little mini figures, because I always love having little versions of like Rangers and stuff. I'm just a fan of little figures like that, so really cool to get them along here with the Zord as well. So like I said, we got those 3 in the front, then of course behind them we also have the Mastodon and Tyrannosaurus there to go along with them as well, of course, to build our Megazord that I'll show you here on the back. So here's like the Pterodactyl with our figures. They do have some functions like with stuff that shoots off and everything, so that'll be kind of fun, but builds our Megazord there, which is gonna look cool hopefully, and looks all nice and big and everything. So just pretty cool overall. I did want to show on the bottom the other products, so just to show what else Playmates is doing with this new release of the line. So they do have the flip heads, which I'm not getting. I already have the original flip heads. I got the Hasbro flip heads, so I'm not going to get the Playmates as well. Don't need those. But I am planning on getting the 3 villains. I already have Rita, but I'm waiting on Goldar and the Putty Patroller still. So once I get those, you'll see a video on that. And of course, don't need a Morphin, don't need the Blade Blaster again. I have the Bandai ones. To me, they're at least already so much better, so don't need to get those again. But did, like I said, definitely want to try out the Playmates with stuff that they do. Like if they do Zords and stuff, I'll definitely be getting them to try out. But when it comes to figures and stuff, I'm just going to pick and choose whatever I want that they release. So of course, knowing me, I'm excited to check out this Megazord. So let me get all the Zords out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So here's the Reignition Megazord all put together now in Megazord mode, so it looks pretty cool. This is pretty big. Of course, I'll bring in other Zords of other versions of the Megazord we've had over the years, just to show you the height difference, and this is definitely the biggest and looks really cool. Overall, it's pretty nice. So like I said, for the price, I did look it up. It is $20 a piece for the Zord, so $100 total to get the entire Megazord, which isn't bad, especially for as big as you get it. It does look, pretty plain and basic, like there's not a whole lot to it, but we've had that with many of the other Zords over the years as well, so it's not like it's that crazy. But yeah, stuff I like about it, stuff I don't like, it's just fine as a big Megazord as it is, but looks pretty cool in this form. Of course, I start in Megazord mode, as when I do my Megazord reviews I tend to start with it in the whole Zord mode, and then we can take it out, break it apart into the individual Zords. But looks pretty good overall with the Megazord design. We still get all the classic features. We get the chest plate, we get the horns coming off the side of his head, big shoulder armor up there with his 2 signature weapons of the sword and the shield there. Of course, have our body parts that are T-Rex mostly in the middle, our chest plate of the Pterodactyl, arms and like back section there of the Mastodon, and then our 2 lower legs of the Sabretooth and Triceratops there on each of their respective sides. Now we do get some play features, especially with the Triceratops, Sabretooth Tiger, and Pterodactyl. The others don't really have much of anything, but we do get some play features. As you see, some missiles sticking up there in the back, and we'll get those with the Sabretooth and Triceratops as well. But looks pretty decent overall with this. Like I said, just really big is like the biggest thing that you notice about this, is just the overall size of the Megazord here, which is pretty nice overall. But let's go and just start disassembling. And we've been through Megazords before many times over the years on this channel, so we don't have to go through the details of like all the backstory of the Megazord and everything, but we'll go and take it apart. So we'll go and start with the Pterodactyl here in the front, and we can just pop this off. So it's just attached with these little gray clips. I was gonna say black, but I guess they're gray clips attached onto the side of the Mastodon arms there, so attached on each side. So we can go ahead and pop those off, and while we're out, we're going to pop the feet off as well. So they're just the guns here attached on the back of the Mastodon that have the pink missile sticking on. So just go and pop those off the feet there. So that'll be the feet for our Pterodactyl, and then we can go ahead and transform it as well. So this is what it looks like all folded up with our chest plate where the Rangers sit and all that stuff. So looks pretty good with the design. We can fold the wings out, so we get each of the wings here that'll fold around. There is sort of like little locky pieces, so it like folds down there and then all the way out like that. So you get the different placements, and then we can get the head as well that'll pull out. Now this does have stickers on it, like quite a bit of stickers, and they're already placed, so you don't have to worry about that. So we get like the pink stickers inside here, which were already placed. Now unfortunately one's like sort of stuck up, so that could easily break and rip over the years and stuff, so I'll have to watch that out. But there we get the pterodactyl head, which looks pretty nice as well. So there we have the pterodactyl come flying in. It does have a jaw that does open and close there, so a nice function for that. Of course, the head does move around. It's on like the little like neck piece there, so you can get it in different positions and stuff, however you want it there. But of course, for us being in Zord mode, we'll just kind of stand it up like it tends to do, like that. And then we get the leg pieces, so the additional attachment pieces on here, you just pop on the bottom of, I guess that'd be the feet or whatever. So they just pop on there, and that gives it the feet of the pterodactyl, so it can, you know, slide now sit. Of course, it's really big here, so it can now just sit up like that. Now, as you see though, it does also have the missiles. So we get the missiles, then we get the little gray button that we can push on, and it'll shoot the missiles out as well. Pretty nice overall. It kind of shoot pretty well, and overall it's pretty nice that they did them in the colors as well. So we have the pink here, of course, have blue and yellow. Now the pink and yellow ones are going to be exactly the same, at least overall shape wise look the same, but the Triceratops will look a little bit different based how its tail design is supposed to be and all that, but looks pretty good there for the pterodactyl. So we'll just set that aside. Then probably the next easiest is going to be the Mastodon. So we come around here, pop the tail out so we can get that down and out of the way, and then we'll go and take the weapons out as well. So we can take the big power sword out, as well as the power shield, which is obviously the head of our Mastodon, and unfortunately it's not the easiest to get in and out there. It's pretty stuck in there pretty well. We'll of course set that aside so we can use it. Now to get it off the Zord, you just pop the arm segments out. So these big black squares, you just pop them, and they're sort of connected there again with the darker gray pieces that go into there, and you pop that off, and then there should be some in the back as well. Yeah, the connections, so this time they're actual black, so connection pieces there that pop into the gray section there on the back. So we pop that out, and then we'll just go ahead and fold this forward. So just take each side, fold it until it pops there. So fold in and pop. Go ahead and fold the big shoulder pads down, which I meant to point out the shoulder pads. I'll do it when we get back in. So we can fold those down as well. Go and get the feet switched around. So we need to get the feet. So there they are. So get them twisted so you can get the feet sticking straight out like that. And then grab this black section, and they need to fold down like that. It's kind of a little stiff and pop a little bit there, but they fold down. Then you can fully get the shoulder pads to fold down. So again, just grab the black, sort of fold it down there, and then pop the shoulder armor down there. So that pretty much makes up our main body. Then we can take the head of the Mastodon, get the handle folded back in, so it just folds down like that, so it's out of the way. And then again with the darker gray clips, clip into the sections there, so pop right in. So there we get the Mastodon head on the body, so it looks pretty good with that. We'll just sit aside for now. Then back to our Zord, we can go ahead and pop the T-Rex off. We'll do the T-Rex last. So we'll start here with the Triceratops. Now I do want to point out, now I did go through the instructions because each Zord comes with instructions for the specific Zord, and then on the back shows how to combine it all together and everything. Now nowhere in the instructions does it point these out, because I was like wondering what they do, but there are little additional gray buttons. So like one here on the side, which I believe this one just works for the knee. So as you like push on it, it allows the knee to like move around a little bit easier and stuff. At least it seems like it does. And then there's a little gray piece here on the like back of the knee as well. So it seems like if you like push that, if it slides up or down, whichever direction it's in when the Zord is on, if you do the opposite, it'll help kind of release the Zord from the knee as well. So again, nowhere in the instructions does it talk about that, but just want to point that out, that there is some additional buttons there. I don't know if they'll break over time, or you know, if you don't use them, what the deal's going on. Like I said, since it's not in the instructions, kind of annoying. But we'll go ahead and take the Triceratops off here now. So there we get the Triceratops. This is obviously the easiest out of all of them to do, because all you do with this is fold the head down, and no additional movements with like the legs or anything like that, like some of the other Megazords we've had over the years do. Just all completely solid for this. Now we do get the tail that moves, and of course you see the gun design there for it. So you get the tail that can fold back, so that's usually what you do for the Triceratops there. But we can also sort of do, if like you want to be in gun, you can sort of fold this section up. Now the Triceratops and the Sabretooth both have this design, so you sort of do this, and then so have it aimed there, maybe more at your enemies, and then shoot the missiles off. So that's pretty fun. Like I said, a different shape for the blue one as well, so more in that like sort of double missile design there. So that's pretty fun. So like I said, you just have that sort of aimed back there a little bit more, and we do get some moves like the head moves up and down there, and there's very little twisting side to side. So you know, obviously I think that's more for helping like when it's standing, you know, get it more at a side angle and stuff like that. But there's just, that's about the only movement aside from the tail back there that you get with the Triceratops. And of course, we'll go ahead and do the same now with the Sabretooth. So go ahead and again, I'll push up the little button there and try and pull this off. But either way, it's still not easy, so pretty hard to get that off with the clip design and stuff. So there we get the Sabretooth. So again, with this, we'll do like we've done with past with all the other Megazords. So you got to fold the feet out, so you can fold the back feet. That is the one nice thing about this. I'm sure some of the others, again, it's not been very recent since I've messed with some of them, but it's nice that they have stopping points. So you know, okay, feet can't go any further than that. You fold the front feet down as well. Now these you can adjust, and of course we'll have to, to get it standing stuff. So get that towards the front, as well as fold the head down, and then you can fold the saber teeth down as well, which I already popped one off, unfortunately, because sometimes they move together, sometimes they move separate. It just all depends on the Zord. But yeah, this one I believe has popped off, so I keep trying to have to stick it back on. Thankfully it's not broke or anything, just like came unglued or whatever. So there we get the Sabretooth, and of course we get its tail as well. We can fold back there, so have it like a normal cat tail, and of course it has the fold like halfway as well, so you can aim more forward and shoot its missile off as well. And again, that design's exactly like the pink one for that missile there. But just go ahead and have that aim there more to the back and have our Sabretooth standing now. And that finally brings us to the Tyrannosaurus. So this is what it is straight out of Zord mode. So of course with this, we got to get its legs down. And like I said, I believe this gray button is to help release the knee, but of course it only moves so far. And I was able to do it without it, like when I first opened this. So again, not exactly sure how much movement it's going to do and everything. But get the knee adjusted here. And of course you got to get the legs folded. Now the legs do have some movements, which will help for the main Zord itself, so it can move a little bit in and out, and of course the rotation, which is super loud, but you can get the different leg positions there. So pop the other leg down and out as well. So maybe in that position we can go and pop the tail in as well. So again, the tail has the grip sections that go on the little peg there, so go and pop this in, and again pops in really hard. So there we get the tail, and you'll have to get the feet adjusted so it stands on the ground. So there, it seems like it's standing there just like that. Then we can go ahead and fold the little arms down. So of course they're just in pretty solid position. They just move up and down there, and we got to get rid of the Megazord head. So fold the two horn pieces to the back. So they just fold nice back there. Go and open this section, and then pull the Tyrannosaurus head up and over the head there, and close this section back up. And now that gives us the Tyrannosaurus head there. Of course, not really much going on inside that, but there we get the head of the Tyrannosaurus with the little arms. You get the arms positioned wherever you want them there, and that gives us our T-Rex as well. So that gives us all 5 Zords now of our Mighty Morphin Megazord. So we get them all separated out. It's hard to get them all in the screen here, it seems like, but there we get all 5 Zords now of Mighty Morphin, as I mentioned. Now, one thing that's cool about the Zord is that the Pterodactyl can come with little figures of the Rangers themselves. So I showed those in the boxes. So we get the little Rangers. So we get the Blue Ranger, the Black Ranger, the Red Ranger, pink and yellow there. So just them sort of pose up in little forms, and of course all painted to design like the Rangers. So you take these, sit them alongside each of their Zords if you want, but nice to get little figures. Like I said, I love little figures like these, like Micro Machines and stuff like that. So pretty fun to get little Rangers to add to the collection as well. We got those with like the Zap Megazord little figures and stuff. So pretty nice that they include them. Really happy that they did, because I always love little things like that included. But now that we've gone through everything with the Zords, we can go in and transform it back into the Megazord. So we'll go ahead and go in reverse, start with the Sabretooth. So go and just start with the tail. Go and take it and fold it forward here, so that's flat down. So there in the back. Then we'll take the back legs, fold them forward there, take the front legs, fold them completely forward here, and lift the head up. And of course, like I said, go and adjust those teeth of the Sabretooth there, so they sort of stick straight up there like that. And then of course you can get the little legs adjusted and stuff, so it'll stand flat. And again, yeah, there's some movement with this as well to get the rotation, especially for the foot to like get stood at an angle or something like that. So you can get that adjusted there. So there we get the Sabretooth. Of course, we'll do that foot, do the Triceratops as well. So just get the tail folded back in there, so flatten that section and lift the head up there. That's all you got to do with that. So we got the feet there now, so then we can go to the T-Rex. Like I said, I was going to do it in reverse, but obviously with the T-Rex I kind of did it backwards there. Get the arms lifted up, got to get the feet all straightened back up again, so you just got to get them all folded back up, and then you want to have them just sticking straight down, obviously, to connect the other Zords on. So fold it up and stick straight down. Go ahead and pop the tail out, which it's always annoying when you don't have the Mastodon on, when you can't attach the tail to it, because the tail just sort of flops around until you get to that point. So there we got the leg section. Now we can go and pop them onto the Triceratops. So Triceratops there on the left and the Sabretooth on the right. So now our Megazord is standing there now. And before we of course put the Pterodactyl on stuff, we got to get rid of the head. So again, open up the chest section here to get rid of the T-Rex head. So again, just grab the T-Rex head here, and it'll fold completely down into the chest and close it back up. And then we can go and just fold the horns around the side there of our Megazord. Now we'll go and take the Mastodon. So again, we got to start with it in the Zord mode, pop the head off there to set that aside for the shield. Go ahead and take the legs, fold them straight back. Of course, you always got to do the lower section there, so grab them and fold it forward there like that. We can go and flip the hands around, so just go ahead and fold them up like that. there. Then we can pop it loose from the back segment and pop it off there. Of course, attach it back onto the back of the T-Rex here, so pop it on there, and then fold the little arm section around so they pop in there on each side. Go ahead and pop the shoulders up. Now, one thing that annoys me about the shoulders I was going to mention earlier is that I feel they should be there, but they have little pop segments that stick up there, so it pops them into place so they stick up a little bit higher, which is kind of annoying to me. I rather than be where like this is sitting flat, is sitting parallel against the ground there, but like I said, the way they pop in, they stick up like that, so that's always a little bit annoying. But there we get the arms now for the Megazord, and then we can pop the Pterodactyl back on. So again, you gotta take the gun pieces off the bottom of the feet there, go ahead and fold the head down, so back inside, fold the little arm flaps down, so we can fold those on top of each other there, and then just pop it right back on the chest, so just like that. So now the chest is back on our Megazord there, and then we can take those gun segments that were on the bottom of the Pterodactyl and pop them on the feet sticking off the back here of the Mastodon, and then also fold the tail up there, and again it pops into a little segment, has the little gray section there on the black there that pops right in, so it sticks right in there attaching to the back. So there we got the Megazord all put back together now. Now before we get the weapon stuff, I do want to show movements. So no really movements in the head, so it's pretty stable. The arms do rotate around and move in and out a little, so you get some movements there, but that's really all there is with that. And then as I kind of showed with the T-Rex legs, the legs do move in and out there, so you get some rotation in and out and stuff, and it's just a little bit of movements. And with the legs, if you don't have them like completely even with each other, even though they look like it, but if you don't, the Zord kind of rocks a little more, so it's not as stable. But there I kind of got it into position. Then we'll go and give the weapon. So obviously take the Mastodon head, which I forgot to show that the trunk does move a little back and forth, but unfold the handle back out here and we'll pop into its hand. So there it's got the shield in his hand, and then take the big power sword once again and attach it into the other hand. So there we got our Megazord all put together once again here for the Reignition Megazord. Like I said, it's really nice, really big and tall and stuff. Not bad for the price. Like I said, $100 isn't bad at all. But like I said, it's not my favorite Megazord so far. So that's always the one thing about me. I'm pretty picky with the designs. You know, we've had different ones over the years. None of them have really been like perfect to me, but as long as they work and function, you know, look like the Zord, that's all I really care about. So really nice for the Reignition Megazord here. Now let's go and bring in some other Megazords that we've had throughout the years. I was going to kind of do these in size, but I guess one sort of messes it up here, but we'll go at least with more recent stuff. So of course we got the Zap Megazord from Hasbro. So here is the Zap Megazord compared to it. Of course, Zap Megazord, a lot more. I think it was like $65 more or 60, 70, somewhere around there. More dollars for it. Of course, much shorter, which the size, you know, height doesn't really matter to me. I don't really care how tall it is or anything, but it has a lot more detail and a lot more movements and everything. So really nice with the Zap. It's still, even the Zap isn't that perfect to me. I feel the Zord could be so much better, especially at that price, you know, comparing the different versions and stuff here. But mostly for this, just wanted to show you the height difference. So there it is compared to the Zap Megazord. I wish I could fit them on here. It's gonna be hard with all the weapons especially. And then going more recently with that, we also had the cheaper Hasbro version. So this is gonna be the cheapest, or at least I think it's the cheapest. It actually may not be the cheapest out of all of these, but of course we've had over the years inflation and everything like that. So this was the cheaper Zord that they released, where each Zord they released I think was like $15, $20. So probably not too dissimilar from the Playmates, just obviously the size difference. This is the smallest Megazord by far, you know, completely compared to that. This one is definitely a ripoff compared to the Playmates version. So definitely get the Playmates over this cheaper Hasbro one. And then the final one that at least for me still leads in contention of probably my favorite version of the Megazord so far, and I think was overall the cheapest, was the Bandai version that was released in 2010. I think it was like $20 maybe back in the day. Of course, who knows with inflation how much that would be now, but I think just overall, like, it's, you know, all plastic and pretty cheap, you know, if it was the $20, but it holds up. Like, I don't have pretty much any issues at all with this Megazord. I think it looks good, has a lot of stickers, but the stickers look really nice details. I'll say don't really have any issues. I guess one's starting to pull off the hand here, but of course it's 15 years old now, so not really surprised like that. And this is also the same Zord they use for the Legacy version, where it's pretty much exactly the same, just in metal, which is the metal one is the one I always keep on display and everything. So like I said, even though it's probably like the cheapest and, you know, probably not the best quality, it's just still always been my favorite out of all the Zords we've gotten so far. And just so you can see it there against height, so it's not the shortest, but it's definitely not the tallest compared to our newer ones. So just wanted to show you all those different Megazords there. Now I still don't have the original Megazord, just because I've never really felt like I needed it or anything, because I would never put it on display and stuff, so it'd just be another Megazord. But just out of the Megazords I do have here are all the different versions compared to our new Playmates one. So that's gonna be it for our Playmates Reignition Megazord. Overall, a pretty good Zord, like I said, especially for the price, buying, you know, $20 a piece for each of the Zords, $100 total is not bad at all. And especially like if you're buying this for for a kid, which is, you know, what they're intended for, especially being from Playmates and everything, I would say this is pretty good, especially with the big size. Like, kids would go crazy about this. The only thing that worries me about this, especially with kids, is how well the pieces will hold up, like with the connection pieces and stuff. I feel those, because over the years, you know, I've already dealt with, you know, these sort of clip designs and stuff. They've not held up with many of the Zords and end up breaking and stuff, so you have issues getting your Zords to stay together and everything. So I'm hoping with these, they do look a little bit thicker and sturdy and stuff, and hopefully will hold up over time. But I'm talking about like the knee connections and stuff like that may not hold up the best, so that's the only thing that worries me most. But I think especially getting this for a kid's toy would be really cool for the kid, especially with the size that this is. So let me know your opinions on the Playmates Reignition Megazord down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like and hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.